We have a couple of seats up front here. If anybody is looking for a seat, we have a couple here, a couple over here. I'm very happy to see such a large crowd out on such a sunny Saturday morning, which I'm sure had alternative uses, but at any rate, welcome and thank you for coming. Our agenda looks very similar to our agendas each month. We will go over the financial report, various club and community matters, and then have our presentation. Financially, again, we are very solvent. We have not spent a lot of the money that's been approved because we're waiting to sort things out a little bit, but we will be buying new equipment very shortly. Again, I'd like to congratulate everybody on your generosity toward the Grafton Food Pantry. Anything that goes in the free will offering jars goes to Grafton, and it's just direct pass through. So every cent that goes in there goes to Grafton. Our membership is 1,476. So we're again growing. As you all know, we have a drop off on July 1 when those people who had their computers fixed and they're still working don't renew. But obviously we've had a few more computers that have failed in the interim, so we are picking up membership. Again, I'd like to, the lab has been very busy, and again I'd like to emphasize that computer repairs are for our members only. We simply don't have the resources to extend that beyond our membership. If you have any topics for our general meetings or classes, please send them to Frank or myself. Also, if you have an interest in teaching a class, please contact either Frank, myself, or Ralph, because we are in need of teachers. We have a very ambitious training schedule, and we would like to get more teachers involved so we can spread the workload out somewhat. Classes begin in September. This is September. We have an introductory class. There will be 3 sessions starting on 10 September. We have a Windows 8.1 class on 11 September. And we're getting into some of the iPads, the tablets, as we move more through the month. The details of all of these classes are on our website. So if you go to the website, just click on the fall classes icon there, you'll go to the detail of those classes in terms of content. Monthly newsletter. If you have anything of interest that you'd like in the newsletter, please get it to Jim Nelson. Also, if you're not receiving the newsletter, and we get statistics back on how many newsletters were attempted to be delivered and how many couldn't be delivered, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a fairly high number. We're very surprised at that. That basically is an issue with people not having the correct profile email forwarding address on their campsite. In other words, if you go to your camp profile, you have to have a forwarded email address for you to get our newsletter. Some people have left it at the default, which is 1234 nowhere. That one doesn't work well. And so if you want the newsletter, and not only the newsletter, but that includes all camp communication, not just our club. Those profile email forwarding addresses are what are used by basically everybody. The Apple Group will go back to work on September 9, that's this Tuesday, in the Fountain View breakout room. They're going back to their schedule of every Tuesday morning. They'll have a session there. We are trying to continue the Tuesday evening sessions in the lab for individual questions or individual problems. We found a number of people who have said, they had a problem with an Apple product, but they couldn't be there in the morning on Tuesdays or in the morning, so they really appreciated the evening attention. Community matters. We're loaded. We have a board meeting coming up. We have the directors meet and greet, the 7 p.m. on September 8th. That was originally a candidate forum for the board candidates, but since one of the individuals dropped out, there won't be an election. It's by acclamation, so that time slot will be used for a meet and greet with the candidates and the board members. There's a normal meet and greet with Lauren at 9:30 to 11 on September 24th. As far as I know, is still on. The Wellness Center walk-in clinic is now open. The 9/11 Memorial at the Pavilion will be set up from September 8 to September 11. Resident phone books will be distributed the end of September. The Huntley Fall Fest is September 26th to the 28th. The details of that are on, and by the way, all of these slides will be on our website this afternoon, so don't worry about trying to copy down an email address or something like that. But the Fall Fest details are on the Huntley website. The Bookers and Hulks have their annual show coming up, and the mobile office of the Secretary of State will be here on September 8th. The classes on Rules of the Road will be down in Fountain View. You should sign up for those at the CAM desk, because they're trying to keep track of how many people are going to be there for that class. The class will be down in Fountain View. You can then, after you take the class, you can come up here to Grendel, take the test, and get your license. However, if you are required to take a road test, you will have to go to Woodstock. They cannot do the road test here, but they do the visual test, the written test, and any of that type of thing they can do. You can also, which is an important thing, and you may want to think about, you can apply and it's free, and if you're over, I think 65, it's for life. You can get a state ID card in addition to your driver's license. It's been pointed out that that's a good idea to get, because after 65 it lasts forever, well, as long as you last. And there might come a time when you need that ID, an official ID card, but you can't get a driver's license. And so getting this now is probably not a bad idea. And that's free, by the way. Our award for 2015 will be Bonnie Baser, Bill Bendick, Linda Davis, Dennis O'Leary, Gene Rhodes, Jim Van Fleet, and Bill Zaletti. And again, it was because of, there were 4 candidates for 4 positions that there's no formal election. That saves us probably $6,000 or $7,000 as an association. Okay, we're going to talk about protecting identity. First, we'll talk. There are a lot of steps that you can take. Identity theft is a big issue. It's becoming a bigger issue in subtle ways. There are many ways that you can take yourself, very simple ways to protect yourself. One of the most important investments you can make is a shredder. If you get a document from anybody as your name and some kind of a authorization number or anything like that, a credit card application, don't throw those in the wastebasket. Shred them. I know it sounds like something we shouldn't have to do, but realistically, we do. Because people do go through garbage. People do pick up information from that source. We're going to talk about phishing, email fraud, some current scams, passwords issues, and protection of public sites. Phishing, I know it's spelled with a P, but think photo, is basically the art of trying to con you out of information, your personal information, that can be used by someone to do great damage to you and your reputation and your pocketbook. It comes in many forms. Typically, it's an email spoofing, and email spoofing can be done to look very, very realistic. Emails you get can, when you first look at them, be very, very deceptive. There are also social engineering issues involved in this, and that basically is a telephone, which we'll talk about later. Ever receive an email like this? Now that looks pretty interesting. It's from Chase. Maybe you deal with Chase. But keep in mind, as we go into this, a couple things to look for. This is the address that was on that. This is the real address of Chase. Whenever you get an email from any financial institution or any institution, the first thing you should do is look to make sure that the address is correct. And you don't want to click on a link, because you never know where that link is going, no matter what it says where it's going. This particular one, if you open it, they really didn't leave anything unturned here. User ID, password, full name, maiden name, mother's maiden name, zip code. This is a very complete project, let me put it that way. Return registered email with the bank. This, by the way, is important. You can also get them that are a little sloppier. These, I don't use Apple. If you clicked on this one, you ended up with going to PayPal. I don't have a PayPal account. The important thing to recognize on all of these requests is your bank, PayPal, your credit card, whoever it is, already has all this information. They don't ask you for it. And anytime anyone asks you for information, you really should just get rid of it, okay? I kept some of these for examples, and I opened them in the lab, because I know the lab machines are protected, but just use a little common sense when people ask you for things. And it's amazing when you say common sense is a great protector, but it's amazing how many cases we see where common sense was not used. Now, this was the one from PayPal for me. This one was interesting because this is another type. This one, you can open it up and say, I'll be surprised because you have neither seen or met me. Well, that's true. I never saw or met that person. But they wanted me to give them some money, and then they'd give me some money, and that's how the story goes. Now, what to look for on phishing: a generic greeting, a forged link, request for personal information, and usually some kind of a sense of urgency. Your email account is about to be closed completely. We need your response within 30 days or 30 minutes or whatever. They'll throw some dire consequence out that you have to respond to immediately. Well, I don't have a whole lot in my life that requires immediate response. And certainly if my email died for a day, I could live with that. But what I'm saying is those are symbols or things to watch for on phishing. Watch for attachments. Never open an attachment from somebody you don't know. Don't reveal personal information. Don't send sensitive information over the internet without checking a website security. A good example, some time ago, I received a message from, I think it was Capital One, we have a credit card, security office saying we have some suspicious transactions on your account. please click on this and respond to us. Being very smart, I didn't do that. I went and got my credit card out and I looked up the security department's number and I called them. And they explained that, yeah, they sent that email, and they thought it was very suspicious that I would have bought 2 sweatshirts for Northwestern at the Outback game, because I had never done that before. And I said, that's because they've never been there before. But at any rate, you know, always, if you have any questions about going to your accounts or whatever, go from an email, from an address you know, from the website that you know is valid. In fact, all of your banks, most credit card companies have a message center on that website. So if you go to their secured website, leave a message through their message center, you know it's going to the right people. If you do have a situation you'd like to report, you can report it to this agency of the government. And they do chase down, you know, they summarize these things, they chase them down, how effective they are. The problem with putting them to bed is, as soon as they close down site A, they open it again as site B, and so it's a very difficult chasing project. There are a number of scams going around on telephones. Unfortunately, we've had people in Sun City who have succumbed to these. Basically, they'll say, you know, we're your friendly computer repair people. We're Microsoft, we're a consultant, whatever they want to use. Bill Gates doesn't make house calls, folks. He's very busy, and they'll ask you for a password and tell you they will access your computer and fix all your problems. And they will fix up a lot of problems. And by the way, they'll also ask for a credit card, because no one works free. And we are aware a number of residents have lost as much as $300 to these people. Now, remember, this is going on now. This is not something never. This has happened. The most recent case I'm aware of was about 3 days ago, okay? When someone called me and said, what do you think I ought to do? I said, call the police. Report the fact that your $300 was stolen, basically. But if you cooperate with these people, you're going to lose about $300. Your computer will be compromised because they ask for all your passwords. And then you've just given credit card information, name, number, expiration date, code on the back. You just gave it to a thief. And the probability that you're going to see some strange charges on your credit card is very real. So exercise your supreme power. Just hang up. If someone calls you and says, I can fix your computer, saying, you know, you just hang up. Don't even entertain the thought, because, you know, random selection, especially if someone calls us, we know your computer has problems. How do you know my computer has problems? You know, these are really ridiculous requests, but people do succumb to them. And it's really a shame. And you should spread the word to your neighbors, if you would too, that these things are going on. Now, there are a bunch of kinds of scams that go on. We talked a little about that one, and we're going to talk about this in more detail. But essentially, these work from home and fake counterfeit merchandise. Know who you're buying merchandise from. There are a lot of very valuable, very reputable sites on the web. Don't misunderstand me. There are also some crooks. Okay. Grant scams. The work from home scam basically is, you know, they'll say work from home. They'll send you a kit with usually a check for a couple $1,000s. They'll say deposit the check and then write a check, because we want to see how this check, your check, will be accepted by these other people. And of course, obviously, their check is bad, your check is good, and they're going with your money. The same thing is basically happening on the grant schemes. You know, you've just won $10 million, but we need $10,000 good faith money. Collection agents, the same way. Vacation, this is becoming a big thing now with house and vacation properties. You know, we have this beautiful property, we're willing to rent for X dollars for a week, but we need a deposit, something like that. Payday loans are the same as the secret shoppers thing, and the resale is the same as the vacation property. The one that really kind of gets me is the pets for sale. You know, you'll get this email that shows a little, you know, puppy or kitten or something that's really beautiful, you know, really tear your heart out, you know. And they'll say, we're going to put this puppy to sleep in 24 hours unless you can provide a home. And people will send money to provide a home. There is no puppy, folks. And you're out the money you send. If you want a puppy, there are local rescue shelters. They'll be very glad to let you see, hold, and get to know the puppy before you take it home. And you know you really are dealing with someone legitimate. And I strongly recommend that you think in those terms. I said the secret shopper ad. You know, basically, the secret shopper, mystery shopper, or something, they'll send an employment package with a check and ask you to deposit it and then send it to an address, etc., etc. This is also similar on eBay. On eBay, it runs a little differently. You put something up on eBay, and let's say you put it up for $500. Well, the person says, I want to buy that. They'll send you a check, and lo and behold, when you get the check, it's $750. And you call the guy and say, hey, you know, it's $750. Oh, I made a mistake. I sent the wrong check to you. Just deposit that check and send me back the difference of $250 worth of merchandise. If you do that, you're going to be out the merchandise, and you're going to be out the $250 probably. How long should you keep a check? Now, I don't know how many bankers are in the room, and I understand what the banking laws say that they have to credit your account within, I think it's 36 hours or something like that. Crediting your account does not mean you have the money, okay? Because they can charge it back, and on one of the banking sites I looked at, this is a quote from them, they basically said 30 days is probably, if you don't know the person you're getting the check from, consider waiting 30 days before you really think that money is good and doing anything with it. It sounds like a long time, but you know, there are a number of cases where these scams with the eBay or something like that have gone out 20 days or something before the chargebacks come in. Another form, of course, we're all familiar with this one. One of the real signs there is when they ask you to send the money to Walmart. This is an indication that this might be a problem, okay? And spam we should talk about just briefly because, you know, spam is a message that you didn't ask for and do not want, but it isn't necessarily fraudulent. And many people get confused because, you know, they sign up for Macy's or somewhere, and so, but they didn't tell them they want emails, and they start getting emails from Macy's. Well, if you have a business relationship with somebody, that's not spam. You set that relationship up, and there's some confusion on that. There are fee services that will monitor your credit records and what have you. They'll report to you monthly if there's been any activity on or any inquiries on your credit accounts. They're usually around $100 a year, or $70 to $100 a year, or something like that. That's an individual decision. They are good. I mean, they are, if you have concerns about it, you can look at it as a $100 insurance policy to keep you informed of things. They also offer, I don't know if it's an additional fee or not, they also offer a service where they monitor the internet sites that sell credit card and social security numbers for your credit card or your social security numbers coming up on any of the internet sites as a separate service. Now, passwords. We all talk about passwords, and there's a good and a bad to passwords. These are bad passwords, but yet they're the most common passwords. Every year these lists are published, and they all have basically the same passwords on them. A good password should have at least 8 characters, should have uppercase and lowercase letters, some numbers, and a symbol. Now you shouldn't use the greater than or less than symbols in your password. But those two symbols can cause problems with some web browsers. But using @ dollar signs, question marks, something of that nature in your password significantly improves the difficulty in breaking that password. Now there are several sites, and we'll go through a couple of these, that you can put your password in and they'll rate it, okay? And these four are considered safe by everybody. In fact, Microsoft actually uses the technology from these people in their site. They're interesting because they give you an indication of how little changes, because you can change these things, will affect the security of a password. This is what the one from Microsoft looks like, and this is the password meter. This one gives you a rating here, but it also gives you, I couldn't get all in one slide, but it also gives you why they're rating it and why your password is good or bad, okay? Just as an example, if we take something like Sun City Joe, lowercase, that's an 11%, that's a very bad score. If we made it into capitals, it goes to 17. But if we just added 2 capitals, a few numbers, a symbol, and a couple, it comes down to very strong, and we say that it's, they rate that at 100%. So you don't have to have a password that, you can't, and you can set up a password that can be very secure that you can remember with a combination of these various factors. This other site is how secure my password. If you put your password in, it'll then give you how long it would take somebody to break it on a computer. The one I like, well, and then of course if you put the secret in, I found these things all vary with millions and billions of years. In my reference point, if it's over 1 million years, I'm probably pretty decent. But this, again, it shows. But this particular site, though, shows how long under different scenarios it would take to break. This one 1 second in one case. But again, if you put the just capital, just what we did, you can see 16 trillion years is a long time. Okay, but at any rate, what it's saying, it's a very secure. I'm trying to emphasize that making a combination of these things significantly improves your security, your password. Now, on any of these, if you're concerned about putting your password in, even though they are supposedly secure sites, you can put a proxy in. In other words, if you put in AR and some numbers and @ some lowercase numbers, 3 lowercase, that's going to give you the same answer. So you can put a proxy for your password in and get the same kind of reading. The next thing, this was a very interesting aspect. We're somewhat familiar with 2-factor authentication codes. This is like using something the user knows, a password or a challenge question. Something the user has, an ATM card or a token on your computer from your bank. This is probably less common. But what was interesting is when I read this article, it was written by a computer security expert at one of the universities. And he pointed out a website that lists all the common websites and whether they use this form of security or not. And he was very surprised, as was I, that, for example, Citibank does not. And we'll go through. I didn't. Now, the way this works, if you have that token and your computer is registered, you'll go on. But if it doesn't find the token, it'll ask you a question. Usually, it says, it'll send you a code, and it'll send you to the email they have on file or a telephone number if you have a telephone number on file. And then you put the message with that code, then you put that into the page within a set period of time before it expires and you can get onto your site. Now, these are some of the common sites that do and do not use this form of authentication. You'll notice these are pretty good. HP Cloud does not. Email, AOL does not. That really doesn't bother me too much because I don't have anything too important in my emails anyway. But a lot of the others do. And this is the one that really stunned me. Merrill Lynch, Scottrade, Ameritrade, and Vanguard is now in the process of doing it. Do not use this form of verification. Those are transaction sites. A lot of your brokerage sites are probably not as important because the only thing that you can do is look at the portfolio, okay? But these are transaction sites. You can move money around on these sites. I was very surprised that they weren't better secured. These are some others. The credit cards, again, for the most part, people can't do too much on those other than look at things. But it's interesting to see some of the banks that are not covered. Citibank being the most notable. Chase is. Some of the others are not. The actual website that I point out there, if you go to that, it lists hundreds of, I didn't put them all in here, but it lists just a ton of sites and their status of security. And it's kind of interesting. Now, public sites present another problem, or another issue, so to speak. One of the biggest things is have some good protection software on there. Current virus definitions, remember, virus protection is like a magazine subscription. It's not something you buy once. It comes out in this case, probably every day, but it's the updates that are what you're paying for and what are important. Keep your browser software updated. You should be aware of network sign-on and limit activity in non-sensitive issues, and we'll talk about that. This is important. When you go to a public site and you think you're signing on to, I don't know, Panera Bread, whatever their site is, and someone is next to you with a strong signal or some other way, they can intercept that. You may be signing on to a site that isn't Panera Bread. So you should always look at what site you're signing on to make sure that, in fact, that's the site you wanted to be on in the first place. Use some good judgment in browsing. Don't go to financial statement sites, medical sites. Use those public sites for more general lookup information and that type of thing. And while this may seem to present a dangerous world, relax, follow good common sense and safety precautions, and you can use your computer without fear. But just remember, there are a whole lot of folks out there who would like to do some harm to you. And be aware of that, be sensitive to that, and use common sense as you go through your computing experience. And that's the end. Any questions? Would you please, and your questions, wait for the microphone.
In regard to the strength of passwords, I have a question. Actually, if someone has a computer that's trying to break a password, are they interacting with the site that accepts password and verifies it? And do those sites not have a count on how many tries there are? And if they exceed a certain number, they just won't accept anymore.
No, they're not going against the site. They're targeting something. They're targeting through a computer, just iterations of combinations to make, but they don't go like 2,000 tries against Gmail or something.
Yeah.
They couldn't do that.
They can't do that. No.
I think the question is that it's all done by computers,
Right.
and there are sites that will let them make lots of attempts. And one that gets us in most trouble is all the sites of AT&T on email. Yahoo Mail will let you keep piping in passwords over and over until you hit it. So they'll be changing shortly, I suspect, because it's so bad that almost everybody in this, how many people have a Yahoo password? How many of you had your email attacked and they took your contact list and started sending out email messages to people? Admit. Okay. So there's 5, 7, something like that admitted that their email has been attacked. And that one is usually because they have a simple password, less than 8 characters, less than, I'm saying 10 characters at least now on Yahoo, because of the ability to keep accessing it. Now, if you go to Gmail, for instance, you get three attempts and you gotta wait 15 minutes. So they can do it. They don't have any problem. And so that is, I think that answers this question. It's very limited.
Yeah, but what some of these hackers will do is they'll be trying. Many people will use the same password on their Yahoo and on their Gmail and on their bank. So they'll hack away at Yahoo and keep banging at it until they find one that works. And then they'll try that one. They'll see, oh, he's also on Citizens Bank or Heartland Bank. So they'll try it there, and it may work. So you may think, oh, Yahoo, who cares? But if you use the same password all over, and they can find that you're on these other sites, then yes, they'll use them there and possibly compromise some of your valuable data.
Yeah, you should also check with your bank to be sure that they're checking your serial number and put a token on your computer so they know it's your home computer is asking to get in. Besides, you type your password, it goes into the system and then it sends a message to the computer and it wants to know something and you don't see anything on the screen while this is happening. And if they can't find you, that token that was put on your computer, then they're going to get in. Most banks have that, but not all.
Well, as we found, Citibank does not, and Citibank is a fairly large financial institution.
So I think check with your bank to be sure.
Any other questions? Yes, over here.
Yeah, I have a question on
Could you wait
token.
for the mic just a second?
I have a question on that token. Can the token be taken off by the owner of the computer? Oh, good.
Sometimes it can, because sometimes it comes in as a cookie, and if you remove all your,
Yeah.
if you remove our banking cookies, you may not get on your bank, and you get on your bank, you just have to go through the re-verification process.
And if you go on another computer, let's say you're at a friend's house and you try to get in the bank and it don't work.
Well, in fact, not only another computer, if you use more than one browser,
Yeah.
you have to have registered with each browser on your computer. I know that Chase, when I changed over using a particular browser, I had to re-register for that browser.
The question was, they asked in the back here, what was the question? The question was, can that token be taken off of a computer? Some of the software that we use, such as Adaware and the likes of those, CCleaner, will in fact remove those. So the next time you attempt to go into your credit card or your banking site, it may ask you to verify that again. So yes, some of the activity that we do on a computer to clean up and speed up those computers does remove those tokens. Question back here, George? Yes.
George, there's a advertisement on the television that I see all the time, and I believe it's called Dashlane, D-A-S-H-L-A-N-E, and there's an app that you download and it stores all your passwords. Now, is that something that would be safe to download that app, put all your passwords in, whether it's Discover or Macy's or whatever?
Those are password vaults. LastPass is one that a lot of people use. If you use Norton, if you're a Comcast customer and you downloaded the Norton package from Comcast, which is free, and I'd encourage you to do that. There is a password vault on that. The way a password vault works is it stores all your individual passwords. But then to get on the vault and activate it, you have a master password that you have to sign in on. And so yes, it's a good way to protect the. Some of the password vaults will generate passwords for you for your, not the master one, you said that, but for your other accounts, they'll generate them, they'll generate very complex passwords. The problem with that is if something happens with your password vault, you may have trouble finding those passwords. But basically, no, the password vaults work very well. I know a number of people, I use one, I know a number of other people do as well.
Where can I dump old computers and towers?
Where can you dump? Dispose. You can bring them into the lab, and we will take the sensitive material off the hard drive, and then we will recycle that equipment. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way too. There's drop sites at various places, like for Huntley and different things. Take the hard drive out and take a hammer and take all your frustrations out on that hard drive, and you're probably all right too. So, yes, Ken.
Yeah, the vault is a particularly interesting idea, and I've been debating it. But is there a vault that takes both like iPhone passwords as well as computer passwords that'll vault it up for you? And will they automatically? Can you recommend a couple? And then secondly, will they automatically sign in for you into these other places?
Well, they'll sign in from a device to as many places as you want them to sign into. But if you have a password vault on a laptop, let's say, it's not going to show up on your phone to sign in on your smartphone. You'd have to have that type of software on your smartphone. I think Ken doesn't LastPass covers all of the it syncs, doesn't it?
But on a portable device, it's $1 a month. It's not free.
Oh, okay. LastPass will sync with your portable devices. Ken said they charge you $1 a month for that privilege.
Also, Norton Identity Safe. If you have Norton on those devices, you can also sync the Identity Safe back and forth between them. I have a question over here, George.
Yes, Bill.
George, just a quickie. If you are going to change to Norton or install any internet security system, remember you have to uninstall the current system that you have.
Yes, you can only have one security system on a computer at a time. Malwarebytes can be on the system. That's a little different. That can be on with the security system. But Norton?
Two things. If you're on a credit card, if you lose your credit card and you don't report it, your financial responsibility is great.
No.
You have to report it, otherwise you're going to be,
no.
Oh yes.
$50 is the maximum that you can be charged on a
if
credit
report
card. No.
No, you better check that, George. But the second thing is, how often do you recommend changing passwords?
Well, my particular philosophy on this is you set the password frequency changes and you set the complexity of the password on the exposure that you have. Now, if I happen to have email through AOL. I know everybody has a problem with that, but I've had it for many, many years, and I just don't want to change the account number because too many people have that address. I don't really get too sensitive about my password on AOL, okay? I mean, it's a reasonable password, but I mean, it's not a life or death issue. Because to be honest with you, you're going to find a whole lot of boring stuff if you got into my email accounts. So, I mean, it's not something that someone is really going to have a great desire to do. On the other hand, your banking passwords and some of the, again, the financial depends on what you can do with it. For example, I won't say most, an awful lot of the brokerage accounts that you all use do not allow you to conduct transactions. All you can do is look up a portfolio, what you have in your account, okay? So I suppose the worst that could happen if someone got into your portfolio, they could look at it and say, boy, those are dumb investments. But I mean, they can't do anything to your portfolio. On the other hand, something like Ameritrade and some of those other accounts, those are transactional accounts. In other words, if I get into your account on Ameritrade, you could be buying any company. I could buy any company as long as there's money in there. I can buy them, transact, sell, buy, whatever. And that's a big exposure. So I think the password frequency and the complexity should be really geared at the exposure that a particular site offers. And the point that was made is a good one. You really should have different passwords for different accounts because, as Ken said, when you trip to one and you can trip to the others, then that's an exposure as well. Any other questions? Yes. Wait for the mic. Oh.
I have trouble getting onto the Sun City website. I've gone and tried that probably 10, 12 times. It never works. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Well, that's because we have such fantastic security on that site. Well, if you would just come in the lab, if you've never signed on before, your sign-on should be lower P and your birth date. And that should get you on. If that doesn't get you on, you want to talk to Ken Palicki.
Rich Palicki.
What?
Rich Palicki.
Rich Palicki, yes. Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to report that there's a text message going around. I don't know if it's just on iPhones or not that will steal your contacts. It's one, I got this text the other day and it said, had my granddaughter's name, and it said, she was asked if this person was good at sports, click here to find out. Of course, I didn't click here. I immediately called my daughter and told her I thought her email or her text, her contacts had been stolen from her iPhone, and that's exactly what happened. She had gotten it from her girlfriend. I don't know whether it affects only iPhones or if it's all text messages. But it's just another thing, don't click on a link if you don't know what it is.
I think another thing that raised, and that's another topic completely, but with the explosion of social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, people have to use some discretion about what they put on those sites. The comment I heard, because from the business, but that the most prevalent users of Facebook and some of those sites are private detectives, because they can get a tremendous amount of information and they don't have to pay a nickel for it, which in the business, usually you're paying for information. And so I really would caution people to think twice before they put personal information on those kinds of sites.
Especially if you're collecting an insurance, if you're collecting insurance money
Yeah.
from it.
Yes.
I have a question on an email account. A couple of days ago, I received an email from a person who deceased 4 years ago. What can I do with that message then? I know that person is dead. But
You could consider that a religious experience. I would just delete it. But coming back to the question about your granddaughter, some of these people are pretty sophisticated. I haven't done it lately, but I have an uncle who died in probably 1975. His name was George Henry Cook. And I received several emails from somebody in Africa saying, your uncle, George Henry Cook, died in a car accident here while he was doing something, and I have his estate. But they had his name. They had the full George H. Cook in there. So people do have amazing, probably if these, I don't know how profitable these things are, but some of these people would apply themselves to legitimate enterprises. They'd probably be the Bill Gates of the next generation. But, are there any other questions? Yes, John.
if you want an idea how much information is out there, Google your name or your family's name.
That's true.
You should do that.
Okay, any other questions? Well, thank you very much. I want to make one announcement. If any of you have a few minutes after the meeting, if you could help with the cleanup of the tables, clean out the tables and folding up the tablecloths, it would be greatly appreciated. And with that, I'd also like to mention that our next meeting will be a very special meeting. We're having several gentlemen from who are cancer doctors, and they are going to talk about the technology of computer treatment of cancer and how, as this one doctor has explained to me, probably 60 or 80% of the people that are alive today wouldn't have been alive without computers showing them how to target treatments and how to tailor treatments, et cetera, et cetera. And so it should be not something we're going to try on our home computers, but certainly something that should be of interest as a state-of-the-art application of computing science. Have a great day, and just have a great day.
Hey, my class was easy.